Hi friends, happy Monday. I am AnnaLee Dragon, the director of the Kinderhook Memorial Library, and I am doing another Monday book talk for you. I don't know about all of you, but it has been a million degrees here, and I don't want to complain because it could be worse, as we have seen the Pacific Northwest. But it's been very hot and very humid, and as much as I enjoy summer, I started wanting a little relief. And so I thought what would be fun is to do some chilly thrillers. So thriller mysteries set in cold places or in the snow. Partially because in the winter, I don't really love reading about more snow and winter. But I thought right now it feels a little like an escape, a little like a relief. And I also think there are two different kinds of beach reads for me personally anyway. One kind is the fluffy sort of chick lit lighter reads, but then the other thing I like is a good murder mystery, like some real dark, scary, creepy stuff because there's nothing to be afraid of at the beach, right? So it's the opposite atmosphere, which is what I enjoy about it. So I thought today we would talk about chilly thrillers, and I have, I think, 5 books to talk about with you. They're all fiction this week, and hopefully you'll find something cool. I've read most of them, but there are a few, including a new one that I have not read yet, so I can't speak to them, but they sound fantastic and they are definitely on my to-read list. So I'm going to put a cover up and then we'll talk about the book and then another cover and talk about that book until we get through them. And at the end, I will put all of the covers again. These are all available either at our library or another library in the Mid-Hudson Library System. So you can request them. You can come in and browse if you'd like. If you've read these and you want something else on topic, just let me know and I'd be happy to help. And let's get started with some chilly thrillers. So the first book that we're going to discuss is the new one, the one that I had not read yet, or one of them, called The Sanatorium, a novel, and it's by Sarah Pierce. Pardon my look down, I just have notes here, especially because I haven't read this one. So it is a Reese's book club pick. So Reese Witherspoon has a book club. I've mentioned it before. If any of you follow her, this is one of her book picks. It's currently checked out, so I don't have it here right now, which is a good sign. That means people are reading it. So it is they call it an eerie, atmospheric novel that had Reese Witherspoon completely on the edge of her seat. You won't want to leave until you can't is the story, is the line, the tagline for The Sanatorium. So it is about a sanatorium in the Swiss Alps, which is where the chilliness comes in the winter. It says that half hidden by forest and overshadowed by threatening peaks, Le Sommet has always been a sinister place. Long plagued by troubling rumors, the former abandoned sanatorium has since been renovated into a 5-star minimalist hotel, which totally sounds like something we would do in a very weird way, right? Like turn it something that was so serious into a hotel. It's like Airbnb. And it is an imposing, isolated getaway spot high in the Swiss Alps, which is always trouble in a mystery novel. It's the last place that Ellen Warner wants to be, but Ellen's taken time off of her job as a detective so that when her estranged brother Isaac and his fiancée Lori invite her to celebrate their engagement at the hotel, she has no reason to not accept. So then things happen, and it is obviously a mystery. I love that it's got a detective in the characters. I love the setting of the Swiss Alps. I have been to Switzerland and the Alps, and it's fantastically beautiful, but also really intimidating in a number of ways. So this one sounds like it has all the things. It has thriller plotline, page turner kind of pace, I guess. Excellent setting, good recommendations from book clubs that we have known and liked the books they've picked. So I am eager to read this one. It says that it's just a mystery that I think we will all enjoy. So if you have not yet put The Sanatorium on your holds list, I would suggest you do so if you're into this kind of book. Okay, time for our next book. Now, this book I have read and I really enjoyed it. It's called Snowblind and it's a thriller. It's by Ragnar Jonasson. It is the first in a series of 6 books. Now, I have not read the other 5 in this series, but the series is called Dark Iceland. And this is the first one, so it's a good place to start. It is, I would agree, that taut and terrifying, and it's a debut novel, which we know that if you watch these talks, I love a debut novel. I also have been to Iceland and really enjoyed the place itself, but the atmosphere of it. It's very brutal and raw, and there's just something about it. The natural world there is very different than the natural world we're all dealing with in our upstate New York place a lot. So I really enjoy the change of setting. But so this says where an isolated fishing village in the fjords of northern Iceland where no one locks their doors. Who, Ari Thor, a rookie policeman on his first posting far from his girlfriend in Reykjavik. And what, a young woman is found lying half naked in the snow, bleeding and unconscious, and a highly esteemed elderly writer falls to his death. Ari is dragged straight into the heart of a community where he can trust no one and secrets and lies are a way of life. I also appreciated in this book the sense of small townness because Iceland as a country is just not very large. It's like 300,000 people. Most of them live right around Reykjavik. So it does have, even though it is the major city in the country and it is a whole country, it has a very small town feel. And I think for those of us who are in Kinderhook, small town life has a different feeling to it, right? And outsiders and new people are often viewed with some trepidation and some suspicion in a tightly knit community. So I think that's interesting. And then when a crime happens in a very small community, I think it's different than when it happens in a big city because you probably know the person that was affected by it in some fashion. So, and who's the suspect because you probably know them too. So I think that there's a lot of that small town atmosphere in this novel, but it's also got that kind of police noir, dark, sort of like there are a lot of books that are written about like Nordic books, and I feel like this falls into that category. It's a mystery, it's dark and chilling, it's a thriller, there's cop presence in it, which usually when you have a cop character that leads to a police procedural element that I enjoy. So, and the great news is this is the first in 6. So if you read this one and you really like it, or you've already read this one, you may not realize there are 5 other books in the Dark Iceland series. So you know right where to go for your next read. Okay, so I've got a couple more books to discuss with you. Disappearing Earth by Julia Phillips is a book that I have also read. And this is, I would say, similar in theme and tone to the one we just discussed, The Snowblind. So it is a crime novel. It is set in Russia, actually, which I thought it's northeastern Russia. And I don't know much about that place. And it is very cold and very tough environment, right? It's just brutal weather and a lot of dark and a lot of snow. And so this book is about 2 sisters, Sophia and Alyona, I'm sorry, I probably mispronounced that, go missing from a beach on a far-flung peninsula in northeastern Russia. And this book follows the year after their disappearance. So it enters the lives of women and girls in this tightly knit community who are connected by the crime, a witness, a neighbor, a detective, and a mother. And we're transported to vistas of rugged beauty, open expanses of tundra, soaring volcanoes, dense forests, and the glassy seas that border Japan and Alaska. So if you are trying to travel in your reading, this book is good for that because it talks about a place on the earth that not many of us have been, and it does it in great detail. And sort of the setting is a character in the book, I would say. In a way that I enjoy. But it also, at the same time, has that familiarity of a murder, a crime, a small town, a cop trying to solve it. So I think that there are, and this plays on one of our biggest fears, right, is 2 children going missing. I don't have kids, but I have a niece, and I feel like anybody who has children in their lives, this is like your nightmare. So it plays on a very real fear that we all have, but then it deals in a number of different ways. So if you like mysteries, this is up your alley. If you like police procedurals, there's probably something here for you. If you're looking for atmosphere and ambiance along with those things, this book has it. There's something foreboding. And like I said, when the nature or the location plays a part, is a character in the story, I think that that's really interesting. And this won, it was a National Book Award finalist, one of the New York Times 10 Best Books of the Year a few years ago, and was a finalist for the New York Public Library Young Lions Fiction Award. So it's won a number of awards. It's really good, well-written, really good book, but also just fits right into this theme that we're doing this week. So The Disappearing Earth by Julia Phillips. Okay, I've got a couple more for you. We're switching tone a little bit here, but keeping on theme of winter. So this one's called The Winter Ghosts by Kate Moss, as you saw there. I've read a number of her books and I really like them. She is a New York Times bestselling author. Some of her other books that I did read are Sepulchre and Labyrinth. But this one is a compelling story of love, ghosts, and remembrance. So less a crime story. So if you're not into those types of books, this might be better for you. So this talks about, it's post-World War I, and a lot of people have been robbed of things and people they love, including the main character, Freddie Watson. The battlefields took his beloved brother and his peace of mind. And so this is in the winter of 1928. He's seeking a resolution. Freddie's traveling through the French Pyrenees Mountains, and during a snowstorm, his car spins off the road. So freezing and dazed, he stumbles through the woods and emerges in a tiny village where he finds an inn to wait out the blizzard, and he meets this young woman named Fabrica, who is lovely, they note, and mourning a lost generation. Over the course of one night, Fabrica and Freddie share their stories, and by the time dawn breaks, Freddie will have unearthed a tragic mystery that goes back through the centuries and discovered his own role in the life of this old remote town. So they call it poignant and haunting, and it's the story of two lives touched by war and transformed by courage. There is a little bit of fantasy element in this one, which I enjoy, but not everybody does. But there is just some historical fiction involved here. Definitely the weather and the location are really neat. And the story is very unique. I haven't read many books that I feel that way about. When I read a story that's different from everything else I've read, I always take note. And Kate Moss tends to write those kind of books. So The Winter Ghosts, if you're looking for something maybe a little gentler than the murder mysteries we've discussed, but also compelling and maybe set in a colder clime. Okay, so I have one more book for you this week. So the last book we're discussing is called The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. And she wrote The Invited, if any of you have read that one. This one says it will shock you with a simmering psychological thriller about ghostly secrets, dark choices, and the unbreakable bond between mothers and daughters. So this takes place in West Hall, Vermont, and I like this one because there's a split timeline. So this is one of those things where there's a story in the past and then a present day that we're dealing in, and so it kind of goes back and forth. So West Hall, Vermont has always been a town of strange disappearances and old legends. The most mysterious, that of Sarah Harrison Shea, who in 1908 was found dead in a field behind her house just months after the tragic death of her daughter. Now in present day, 19-year-old Ruthie lives in Sarah's farmhouse with her mother Alice and her younger sister. Alice has always insisted that they live off the grid, a decision that has weighty consequences when Ruthie wakes up one morning to find that Alice has vanished. In search of her clues, she is startled to find a copy of Sarah Harrison Shea's diary hidden beneath the floorboards of her mother's bedroom. As Ruthie gets sucked into the historical mystery, she discovers that she's not the only person looking for someone they've lost, but she may be the only one who can stop history from repeating itself. So this has a lot of elements that will suck me in. I love anything that kind of looks at mother-daughter relationships. I had such a great relationship with my mom, and I am always intrigued by that, especially if it's written well. That's fantastic. But then it also has this ghost story part of it, which I like, and the two timelines. I love some history, and especially history and present day together in a setup like this is something I really enjoy. And when they, the words that are used to describe it, taut and simmering and psychological thriller, lets me know that there is something there that's really interesting and page turning, but also doesn't sound like an openly violent or bloody kind of story, which some of the police procedurals and murder mysteries can be. So it's not quite cozy mystery, I wouldn't argue, but it's more cozy than some of the other books we discussed earlier on. So if you're looking for a mystery but want something maybe a little softer, or more psychological rather than just like brutality or murder, this might be a good choice for you. The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. So that's all I have for you this week. I am still coming up with ideas for other talks, but if you have one, definitely let me know. The library is open. We are requiring masks inside to protect our young patrons. But other than that, everything is back to pretty much normal. We have programs going on. I'm going to be doing a live book talk on the library patio coming up this summer. So keep your eye out for that and join me if you'd like. We've got lots of stuff going on. We can definitely help you get books. Sign up for our summer reading program has begun, and we have prizes for kids, adults, and teens. So everybody can sign up and win something fun just for reading, which you're already doing. So thank you so much for joining us, and I will be back next week. And if there's anything we can do for you, please let us know. Thanks so much, everyone.